Hello students, today we'll take up the first chapter, physical world and its measurements. The first definition in this chapter is of physical quantity. What exactly the physical quantity is? Any quantity that can be measured by any means, directly or indirectly, is called a physical quantity. By definition, we can define a physical quantity as a quantity that can be measured directly or indirectly by any means is called a physical quantity. Now we can take up the examples of the physical quantities. For example, mass. Mass can be measured in terms of its units, gram, kilogram, milligrams. So these are the units. So it is a measurable quantity. So it is called a physical quantity. Then comes length. Length can be measured in terms of its units, meter, centimeter, kilometer, millimeter. In number of units we have the length as well as for mass. So these two can be measured easily. These are called the physical quantities. Then comes noise or voice. The unit for measurement of the voice is decibel. It is represented by the symbol dB. Clear? So that means it's again a measurable quantity. So it is a physical quantity. Can we measure the students' emotions of a person? No, it cannot be measured. So it is not a physical quantity. So again, the quantity which can be measured by any means directly or indirectly is called a physical quantity, and the quantity which cannot be measured is not a physical quantity, just like emotions. Further, we can categorize the physical quantities into two types. Basic physical quantities, which are also known as fundamental or independent physical quantities, and the other category is derived or dependent physical quantities. As it is clear from the name itself, the physical quantity which can be measured itself and is independent of the other physical quantities is called a basic quantity. And the quantity which depends upon other physical quantities for its measurement are called derived or dependent physical quantity. For example, to measure the length of this notebook, we will directly measure the length. We don't have to measure any other physical quantity for the length of measurement of this notebook. So length is a independent or basic or fundamental physical quantity. But if we have to measure the area of this page, then we have to measure the length and breadth of this page. That means the area depends upon length and breadth. So that means area is a dependent quantity on the length and breadth. So area is a dependent physical quantity. If we have to define them, then the basic physical quantity can be defined as these are the physical quantities for which we have to measure directly the given physical quantity. For example, mass, length, time, temperature, all these are the basic physical quantities. Then comes the second one, that is derived or dependent physical quantity. Derived or dependent physical quantity. These are the physical quantities which depends upon other physical quantities for their measurements. Now what are the other physical quantities? The other are basic physical quantities for their measurements. For example, I have taken the example of area, volume, force. Force depends upon mass and acceleration for its measurement, whereas area depends upon length and breadth, volume depends upon length, breadth and thickness. So all these are the dependent physical quantities. Next is system of units. Now if you have to measure any physical quantity, there must have some units. What exactly the unit is? Unit is basically the comparison. That means, for example, we can write that 1 kilogram is 1000 times bigger than a gram. 1 kilometer is 1000 times bigger than a meter. So that is basically a comparison between the different physical magnitudes. So if I have to define measurement or unit, the same definition is for measurement as well as unit. The measurement of a physical quantity is the process of comparison between the quantity with standard amount of physical quantity. Clear? For example, the standard physical quantity for mass is kilogram, and I have to take up another unit for the mass, that is a gram. So I have to compare that gram with the kilogram. 1 kilogram is 1000 times bigger than the gram. So basically I am comparing the gram with the kilogram. That means I am writing 1 kilogram is 1000 times bigger than a gram. Similarly, I can compare kilometers, meters with the centimeters and all that. So basically, what exactly the unit is? Unit is a comparison of given physical quantity with the standard physical quantity. Now, we have to decide the unit for the physical quantity. Now, what are the different characteristics that a unit must possess? Number one, it should be a well defined. That means we must know what exactly the unit is and how it can be concluded from one physical quantity. It should be well defined. It should be convenient size. For example, if I write say 1 meter, 1 centimeter, 1 kilometer, for the different measurement of lengths, we use the different units, and that must be convenient in terms of the usage of the physical quantity. For example, I have to measure the length of this pen. I will measure in terms of centimeters, and I know that 1 centimeter is almost, you can say, this much. Clear? Now, if I have to measure the length of say a room, then I will use the unit meters, because that unit is convenient for that much of length. And if I have to measure the length of distance between your school and your home, that will be in terms of kilometers. So according to the nature of the physical quantity, the unit changes. Then comes, it should not change with the time. The physical quantity unit must remain constant with the time. It should not change with the time. Then comes, it should be easily reproducible. It should be easily compared, that one must know that 1 centimeter is this much, 1 second is this much. It should be easily reproducible at any time. It should not get affected by the physical conditions. For example, 1 centimeter is, I said, this much. If the temperature increase by 20 centimeter, it should 20 degree Kelvin, it should not increase by this much. That means it should remain constant with the physical quantities or the physical conditions. It should not get affected by the physical conditions like temperature, pressure, volume, and all the other physical natures. Then comes the sixth one. It should be internationally acceptable. That means if 1 centimeter is say this much, suppose, then it should be the same magnitude everywhere in the world. If I say 1 centimeter is this much in the India, then it should be same magnitude in the America also. It should be standardized equivalent. Then is, it should be easily accessible. We can easily compare 1 centimeter with the other, say 1 meter, 1 kilometer. It should be easily accessible. Then is 8 point, it should be imperishable or indestructible. It should not be changed. It should remain constant throughout. So these properties a unit must possess. Then comes, we have the different patterns or the system for the measurement of the physical quantities. I am discussing some of them as system of units. These system of units you might have done in the 9th class. First is CGS system of units. These first three system, that is CGS system, FPS system, MKS system, all these systems suppose that the standard physical quantities or the basic physical quantities are 3 in number. Whereas the fourth one, that is SI system of units, which is abbreviated as system internationally or standardized internationally, consists of 7 basic and 3 semi-basic or supplementary quantities. Now, I will discuss this one later on. First come to the first one over here. First is CGS system of units. This system consists of 3 basic quantities, that is length, mass and time. And according to this system, the length is measured in terms of centimeters, mass in terms of grams and time in terms of seconds. Then comes FPS system of units. According to this system of unit, the length is measured in terms of foot, mass in terms of pound and time in terms of second. Clear? Then comes the third system, MKS system. According to this system, length is measured in terms of meters, mass in terms of kilogram and time in terms of second. And the modification of this system, that is MKS system, gives us SI system of unit, standardized or systematized internationally system of units, which consists of 7 basic and 3 semi-basic or supplementary physical quantities. Students, you might have seen, you will see that some of the books they have written 2 supplementary quantities over here, but you have to write 3 supplementary quantities because it is standardized internationally. Now first is I will discuss the 7 basic quantities. The 7 basic quantities are, this table consists of physical quantity, their units and the symbol for the units. Students, there are certain rules to write on the symbols also. We'll discuss that one also. Now according to this, the 7 basic quantities are length, mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity and the quantity of a matter or substance. I will take the first one first. The first physical quantity is length. It is measured in the units of meters and its symbol is small m. Then comes the physical quantity mass. It is measured in the unit of kilograms and its symbol is small k, small g. Then comes time. It is measured in terms of second. Symbol is s. Temperature in terms of Kelvin. Symbol is capital K. Then electric current is measured in terms of amperes. Symbol is capital A. Luminous intensity is measured in terms of candela. Its unit is CD. Then comes amount or quantity of a substance or matter. Its unit is mole and the symbol is MOL. Clear? These are the 7 basic quantities. Out of all these quantities, you might have come across the first 5 physical quantities in your daily life. These two, that is the 6th physical quantity and the 7th physical quantity, is new to you. The first is luminous intensity. Luminous is taken from the word lumen. Lumen means light emitting substance. So basically, to measure the energy or intensity of a light emitting substance, we use the term or the unit candela. Then comes quantity of substance. As we know that we have done in the chemistry mole concept. What exactly the quantity of a substance is? Everything is made up of atoms, molecules or ions. Clear? Then how much electrons or you can say atoms or ions are there in the given substance is the quantity of matter. So basically what exactly this quantity of matter measures? It measures the number of atoms, molecules or ion in the given substance. Then comes supplementary SI units. For this, we have 3 supplementary units. Plane angle, the angle in 2 dimension. As we have done in the earlier classes, the 2-dimensional angle is called plane angle. You might have discussed this plane angle in your lower classes, that is 30 degree, 40 degree, 45 degree. All those are called plane angles because that angle lies in a plane. Its unit is radian, represented by the symbol RAD. Then comes 3-dimensional angle. We have only definition of this solid angle over here. Rest we will discuss in +2 class about the solid angle. It is a 3-dimensional angle and its units are steradians. Then comes radioactivity. Radioactivity is basically a nuclear phenomena. It's basically a nuclear phenomena which occur due to the instability of the nucleus. As the nucleus becomes unstable because of the large number of nucleons, that is protons and neutrons, it starts emitting alpha, beta and gamma rays to reduce its energy. This process of emission of alpha, beta, gamma rays is called radioactivity and it is made in terms of Curie, after the name of the scientist, Madame Curie. This unit is Curie and is represented by the symbol Cu. Now, after this, there are certain advantages of SI system. That's why we prefer to use SI system of units. First is SI system of unit is coherent system of units. That means one unit is connected with the other unit. For example, if I write 1 kilogram, 1 kilogram is 1000 grams. So this gram and kilogram are interrelated with the tens power. 1 gram is equivalent to 10 raised to power 3 milligrams. Again, it is related with the tens power. So this is the coherent system of unit. Every unit is connected with its other unit. SI system is a rational system of unit. Then comes third point, SI is a metric system. Metering means it is related with the other one with the meter. Meter means 10. with the tens power as we have discussed earlier, like this one. SI is a absolute system of unit. It is an accurate system of unit which is standardized internationally. Throughout the world, its values are the same. SI is internationally acceptable system of units. So as we have discussed, it is internationally acceptable system of units. There are some certain guidelines to write down the units. For example, I have written kilogram over here. These are the units, grams are the units. So there are certain rules to write down the units of the given physical quantity, whether it is mass, length, time, temperature, anything else. Now first is, we are going to use the small letters. For any of the unit, we are going to use small letters except the unit indicates the name of the scientist. Clear? For example, if I write on take up the example of mass. Mass is measured in terms of kilograms. Kilogram is not the name of the scientist, so it will be small k, small g. Then comes the unit for the length. It is meter. Again, note the name of the scientist, so it will be small m. Then comes time. Time is measured in terms of second. Second is again not the name of the scientist, so it will be measured. It will be written by small s. But whereas ampere, that is the unit of current, ampere is the name of the scientist, so it will be represented by capital A, like this one. Similarly, this temperature, which is measured in terms of Kelvin, is again name of the scientist. Kelvin is the name of the scientist. It is represented by capital K. Is that clear? These are not the name of the scientist, so they are with the small letters. Then comes, symbols are not followed by the full stop. किसी भी सिंबल के आगे फुल स्टॉप नहीं लगाना, ठीक है. इफ आई राइट से मीटर, से 10 मीटर, तो 10 मीटर तो ठीक है, ये फुल स्टॉप इसके आगे नहीं लगाना. क्लियर? देन कम्स the initial letter, as I have already explained, the initial letter of the symbol is capital only if when the unit is the name after the name of the scientist. Clear? Symbols do not have plural form. If it is 1 meter, you are going to write 1 meter. If it is 10 meter, again you are going to write 10 meter only. It's not meters. Clear? It is 10 meter, 10, 100 meters, it will remain meters. It won't become meters. Then is the full name of the unit. Whenever you have to write the full name, I am writing meter over here. Clear? If I have to write the full name, again it will be in small letters. Again, if I write 1 ampere, that is a unit of current, that is 1A. But if I am going to write the full name, it will be 1 ampere. This A becomes small. If I am writing the complete name, the full name of the unit always begin with a small letter, even if it has been named after the name of the scientist. So that is this thing. Then comes, now we have to discuss some of the units, some practical units. First I am taking the practical units of length only. Now what are the practical units of length which we are considering? This doesn't mean that we don't have the other units for the length. These are some of the practical famous units. First is Fermi. These units are used for the small distances. 1 Fermi is equal to 10 raised to the minus 15 meters. These units, you can say 1 Fermi, 1 angstroms, nanometer, micron and milli, up to this one. These units are used to measure the atomic sizes, the object of the size of almost atom. First is the Fermi. 1 Fermi is equal to 10 to the minus 15 meters. 1 angstroms is equivalent to 10 to the minus 10 meters. 1 nanometer is equivalent to 10 to the minus 9 meters. 1 micron, it is represented by the symbol mu. This symbol is called mu, and is represented like this. U की इधर से एक थोड़ी सी टांग खींच दो, it will become mu. Okay? 1 micrometer is equivalent to 10 to the minus 6 meters, and 1 millimeter, that is small m, is 10 to the minus 3 meters. Some other units, very famous units, light year. What exactly the light year is? It's clear from the name. the distance, because this is the unit for the distance covered by the light in 1 year is called light year. Clear? So when the light covers the distance in 1 year, whatever the distance covered is called 1 light year. So by definition, it is the distance covered by light in vacuum in 1 year is called 1 light year. We know that velocity is equal to distance upon time. So from here, distance will be velocity into time. So 1 light year is the distance that will be equal to velocity of light in the vacuum, and because the time is 1 year, so t will be 1 year. So this will become 1 light year is speed of the light in vacuum into the time, that is 1 year. If I put up the values, we know that the speed of light in vacuum is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and 1 year is equivalent to 365.25. This 0.25 is because of the leap year, because after 4 years there comes a leap year. If I divide 1 day of the leap year into the 4 parts, it will become 0.25. So this will become 365 normal year, 0.25 because of the leap year. Each day contains 24 hours, each hour contains 60 minutes, each minute contains 60 seconds. So this much seconds are there in 1 year. If I multiply all this will come out to be 9.467 10 to the power 15 meters. So 1 light year is equivalent to 9.467 10 to the power 15 meters. Then comes astronomical unit. What exactly the astronomical unit is? If I have to measure the distance between Earth and Sun, then the mean distance is called astronomical unit. Clear? Again, it's the unit for the distance. It is the mean distance of the Earth from the Sun. It is used to measure astronomical distances. Astronomical distances means, I told you that if I have to measure the length of this pen, I will use the unit centimeter. For this room, I will use the unit meters. For the distance of between the school and your home will be in kilometers. And if I have to measure the distance between the different stars, the distance of the sun from the sun, distance between moon and sun, then I need a bigger unit, and that bigger unit is astronomical unit. Now astronomical unit, it is the mean distance between Earth and Sun, or of Earth from the Sun. Now again, light takes 8 minutes and 32 seconds. 8 minutes and nearly 32 seconds from Sun to reach to the surface of Earth. If I convert this one into the second, this will become 512 seconds. Clear? 8 minutes means 8 into 60 second plus 32. So this will become 480 plus 32 is 512 seconds. So light takes 512 seconds from Sun to reach to the surface of Earth. And the speed of the light in vacuum is 3 into 10 to the power 8. Again, we know that velocity is distance upon time. Distance will be velocity into time. So this distance, that means 1 astronomical unit, will be equal to velocity of light into the time. If I multiply these two, this will come out to be 1.496 10 to the power 11 meters. So 1 astronomical distance, that is the average distance between Earth and Sun, is 1.496 10 to the power 11 meters. Then comes the next one, parsec or parallatic second. Now, what exactly the parsec is? Parsec is the largest unit of distance. It is the largest practical unit of the distance at which an arc of length 1 astronomical unit subtends an angle of 1 second of an arc. Now to explain this one, just you need to suppose over here, if I make a circle, very large circle. Clear? Before that, I want to tell you that we can measure the angles in terms of degrees, radians, minutes, seconds. I will explain you how we can convert all these into one another. But first I will take an example. If I make a sector over here, this circle is very large. Such a large that this arc of the circle is 1 astronomical unit. if I make the arc of the circle this much, so that it makes an angle of 1 second. Second is represented by the two lines over here. Then this length, that is the radius of this circle, will be 1 parsec. So by definition, 1 parsec is defined as the radius of a circle in which 1 second of angle makes an arc of 1 astronomical unit. Again, 1 parsec is the radius of a circle in which 1 second of angle makes an arc of 1 astronomical unit. And we know that angle is equal to arc upon radius. Angle is, over here if I discuss, angle is 1 second, arc is 1 astronomical unit, and radius is 1 parsec. If I use this formula, angle is arc upon radius. I am supposing this arc to be, say, this L, which later on will be equivalent to 1 astronomical unit. Radius is 1 parsec, like this, clear? And angle is 1 second. Angle is arc upon radius. So radius will be arc upon length. Arc, as I have discussed in the definition, is 1 astronomical unit and angle is 1 second. If I convert 1 second into the radians, it will be 1 upon 60 into 60, that is 3600 into pi by 180 radians. And 1 astronomical unit, that we know that 1.496 10 by 11 meters. If I solve this one, this will come out to be 3.08 10 per 16 meters. So 1 parsec is equivalent to 3.08 10 per 16 meter. Now I can compare this parsec with the light year also. This 1 parsec is equivalent to 3.26 light years. Similarly, I can compare this light year with the astronomical unit also. 1 light year is 6.3 10 raised power 4 astronomical units. So these two relation gives the interrelation between the three different units, light year, parsec and astronomical unit. And from this we get to know that 1 parsec, that is the parsec is the biggest one, astronomical unit out of these three is the lowest one. So parsec is greater than light year is greater than 1 astronomical unit. Then comes, what are the practical units of time? After this, I will tell you, after covering this topic, I will tell you how we can convert the given angles into the radians, minutes and seconds. Clear? Now there are some practical units for the time also. First is the solar day. It's very easy one. It is the time taken by the earth to complete one rotation about its axis with respect to the sun. That means the one day, one normal average day. That is called solar day. Clear? Then comes sidereal day. It is the time taken by the earth to complete one rotation about its own axis. Same is the case over here, about its own axis, but with respect to sun over here we consider any distant star. So it will be different from the solar day. Earth is rotating about its axis, one complete rotation. With respect to sun, it will be solar day. With respect to any other star, that will be sidereal day. Clear? It will have the different values in the different cases, whereas this one is almost fixed. You can say 24 hours. It is basically 23.56 hours, but on the average we consider this solar day to be almost 24 hours. Then comes solar year. As it was the solar day, now comes the solar year. It is the time taken by the earth to complete one revolution around the sun. That means 1 year in its orbit. So one solar year is 365.25. Again this 0.25 is because of the leap year, solar days. Or in case of the, if we compare this one solar year with the sidereal days, it will be 366.25. Then comes tropical year. What exactly the tropical year is? It is a year in which there is total solar eclipse. The total solar eclipse does not comes in each of the year. So the year in which it comes is called tropical year. Then comes the leap year. As we know that the year in which there are 366 days and the number of the year is divisible by 4. So the year which is divisible by 4 and the year in which there are 29 days in the month of Feb and one leap year contains 366 days, solar days you can say. Then comes the lunar month. As we know that the moon is a satellite, natural satellite of the earth, it is orbiting around the earth. So the time taken by the moon to complete one revolution around the earth is called leap month and lunar month. It is the time taken by the moon to complete one revolution around the earth in its orbit, and one lunar month is equivalent to 27.3 days on the earth. Shake is the smallest practical unit of time, and one shake is equivalent to 10 to the power minus 8 seconds. One shake is equivalent to 10 to the power minus 8 seconds. The first thing is, I told you that I will tell you how to convert first angles into the radians. Suppose you might have done 60-degree angle, 30-degree angle, 45-degree angles. So whenever we have to convert these degrees into the radians, the first thing is I will just multiply the angle with pi by 180. So whatever comes to be, we don't have to put up the values of pi over here. It will be pi by 3 radians. Now if I have to compare this, convert this 30 degrees into the radians, 30 into pi by 180. So this will be pi by 6 radians. So whatever the angle is given, you just multiply that angle with pi by 180. That will get converted into the radians. Is that okay? Now if I have to, suppose some radians are given to you, say pi by 4 radians. Now this was, the previous one was, this was the conversion from degree to radians. Now we are converting radians into, I don't have to put up s over here because the units don't have the plurals. Radian into degree. Now to convert that one, suppose the radian given are pi by 4 radians. So I have to convert this into the degree. Then I will multiply this with 180 by pi. This is the reciprocal of the previous one. So this will come out to be, pi will get cancelled out, and if we cancel out this one, this will come out to be 45 degrees. Now to convert